Hello and welcome to How to Get Into Investment Banking. In this series, what we look to do is give you the tools that you need to get into investment banking. The way we do that is by breaking it down by university, by course, by specific background, or by specific job, buy side institution, bank, and show you the profiles of the people that went into those jobs. And we'll do that by running through a couple of LinkedIn profiles for each university, for each role, so you can see exactly the steps and decisions that those people made to get those jobs. Hopefully, this gives you accurate and real data and advice on the steps that you should be taking if you want to follow a similar path. Let's go. All right, episode 1, let's go. I'm going to try and do this on the second take, which is what this is. And this is the University of Cambridge. So the way I'm approaching it, I'll start at the top of the rankings and I'll make my way through. Cambridge is an interesting one because obviously not everyone gets into Oxbridge. Like, it does not need to be said. But going to Oxbridge, whatever degree you're doing, whether it be economics, maths, financial engineering, or humanities like history or history of art or whatever it is, you do have a good shot at investment banking. But I think what you will note, and something to take from this, is that the top candidates are still going through the internship process. So to give yourself the best odds of getting a job, you still need to go through that. We're going to look at 4 CVs and let's get started. So the first one, what have I got? Apologies if I look away from the camera. I've got the LinkedIn up here. Is Macquarie Investment Banking Analyst. Now, the background is typical investment banking, Cambridge economics, and all the way through from Spring Week, Summer Analyst, grad role. Now at Macquarie, that's exactly, or any investment bank, that's the process you want to be taking. Week 1 university, applying to your Spring Week, getting your summer internship end of second year, and then converting that to your final grad job. I think the most interesting thing on this profile, because otherwise it's a pretty clean profile, top university, top grades, and going through the internship process, is that work shadowing before this person even got to university. So they started university in 2016, 2014 and 2015, they were doing work shadowing at Credit Suisse. So that means that when they applied for their Spring Week, they already had things to talk about in an interview. They already had an understanding of what the different roles are in a bank. Now, this person may have had a family friend. It could have been, someone they knew who worked in Credit Suisse, who got them that internship. But the point is they got it. Some of you watching this right now might have a friend who works at Deutsche Bank and you're not taking advantage of that connection. So make sure you're taking advantage of your connections if you have them. And if you don't have them, then there's other ways to get work experience before you even get to university. So that could be working in a local accounting business. It could be that you are going to an online networking event with one of the banks. They're freely available and you can get onto them. But I think the key thing to note on this profile, which otherwise is pretty clean, is that they did work experience before they got to university. All right, on to profile number 2. Very, very clean, which is what you would expect from kind of top graduates from the top universities. So at Lazard, which is the current role in investment banking at Lazard, they did the Spring Week at Lazard, they did the summer internship at Lazard. So they went to Cambridge 2016 to 2019. Again, I think the key thing to note with this is that even though they're going to a top university, they're doing all of the things you need to do. They're taking all of the steps. They're doing multiple spring internships. So when you're applying to your Spring Weeks, apply to all of them. Right? Apply to banking, apply to Big Four. Beyond that, they're taking extracurricular activities at university, and everything that's on this person's LinkedIn is obviously going to be on their CV as well. So these are all things you can talk about in an interview. And then a key thing to note, I think, with this one is that the advantage of doing a master's is that you can do 2 summer internships. So they did their first summer internship at the end of their second year, and then the summer internship at Lazard that they ended up doing the grad job for was the end of their third year. So that's definitely something to take into consideration when you're considering a master's. Do you have the opportunity to do a second summer internship, or are you going to do your first summer internship at the end of your third year because maybe you haven't built up your CV as much as perhaps you should have in your prior couple of years. Otherwise, again, kind of top tier academics and very good profile, and it's a very clean route into investment banking. Okay, on to profile number 3. Now I want to find profiles that have something a little bit interesting about them, or something to them that you can take something for yourself, whether you go to Cambridge or whether you go to another university as well. Now, this profile was not Cambridge undergraduate, was Exeter undergraduate with a year in work experience, so with a placement year, and then masters as well. It's a very interesting profile and a very good route into the top jobs. So they did their summer analyst position at Bank of America, and now they're Bank of America investment banking, which is top tier when it comes to pay, compensation in London, and exit opportunities, or just staying within the bank. So let's break this down. 4 years at Exeter with placement year. Placement year is a great way to get very good experience because they're slightly less competitive, or I think that's an understatement, significantly less competitive than your typical summer internship or your typical internship opportunity, because not all universities offer placement years. So just by that logic, there are going to be less applicants. I think the other benefit of a placement year is that by the time you become a graduate, you have a year's work experience. That year's work experience is obviously the high risk period for an employer because they need to train you, and you cost a lot. So when you're going then for your summer internships, you have a lot more work experience than everyone else. So Exeter University plus placement year, got a very good placement year, M&A and private equity. I don't know how much they would have done on the private equity side. That's quite interesting at that level, but just getting that experience again separates you on your CV. Then they did a summer internship. Aviva could be on the investment side. They haven't gone into too much detail, but again, they're just building up their CV, and then they go on to the Cambridge Masters. Now, this is an interesting point because when it comes to masters, often you can go to potentially a higher ranked university. That could be Oxbridge, it could be LSE, it could be UCL. Doing that masters, going to a better university by rankings, could potentially allow you to get a job that would have been very difficult to get straight out of your undergraduate. Also, you have more experience than you have the masters, obviously. So they then did their summer internship after their masters at Cambridge. That's also key. I think people do their masters in their second year and then they think, okay, I'm only going to apply to grad jobs now. That's it, and I'll take what I can get. You can still do an internship after you've done your undergraduate degree or after you've done your master's degree. Often they will ask, are you going to do an extra year of education? And you just need to tell them that you're going to do that in many scenarios. But if you don't do more qualifications, then you don't. And in this case, they didn't. And they went into the investment banking job 6 months later. So there we go. That is profile number 3. Okay, so that was number 3. I did do number 4 on that second take, but I wasn't happy with it. So I've got a different profile, and let's go. Number 4, final profile for this video. And again, it's a clean CV. Good university, economics undergrad. If you're not at university yet and you're thinking, how do I get into investment banking? Like, this is the way to do it. It's not the way you need to do it, but it gives you a very good odds if you want to go into a job like this. But let's take a look at it. Regardless, I think another thing to note is that the top applicants are getting experience before they even get to university. Now, this could be nepotism, it could be speaking to a family friend, but you can do this yourself. If you message on LinkedIn 100 people or 500 people, the chances are that 20 are going to reply, 12 will arrange a coffee with you, and one of them will give you a week's work experience. So it helps to have family friends, but there are ways to get yourself work experience before university. So that's very interesting to note on this profile. Work experience before university in a top investment bank. Then, second thing to note as well is getting experience before that second year internship. So the second year internship is key. They don't have spring weeks. You do want to be getting a spring week. And if they didn't have these 2 pieces of work experience, it probably would be doable, definitely, from Cambridge Economics to go straight into summer intern, but more challenging for sure. So they get their work experience end of their first year. And again, you can do that by networking, apply to internships that don't require you to be end of your second year. And then from there, it makes it much, much easier to get your second year internship, which they've done at, again, top tier boutique investment bank. And then from there, you have the experience, you can go straight into a front office grad job. So key things to note on this profile: they've got work experience before university. So for you, that might be, you can also do this. Maybe you have a family friend you haven't spoken to, or you need to be finding other ways to build up your CV, either by networking, learning about the area, reading. All of these things can allow you to build a profile before you get to university. Second thing that's really interesting is the fact they're getting work experience end of their first year. So that's what you need to think. When you're applying for your internships, these are the kind of profiles you're competing with, and you need to make sure you're up there with them. So that means getting work experience, networking. I think networking is key if you don't have that perfect CV. If you apply for a job, reaching out to the team and speaking to the team, grabbing coffees when things get back to normal, that can really give you that leg up to get into these jobs. But more broadly, if you're at Cambridge, the key points are work experience, summer internship, through to the grad job. And there we go. That is Cambridge University. This is the first one of these I'm doing specifically for YouTube. So I hope you enjoyed it. Comment below anything that could help others, anything you think I can improve on the video, and I'm going to keep building these out to hopefully help as many people as possible. So have a best day ever, and good luck with your applications if that's what you're doing.